Today we're going to talk about a subject that a lot of people refuse to discuss, menopause. Stay with us for some of the issues as well as resolutions coming up on this episode of The Issues. I'm Sarah Bernard, and thanks for staying with us. According to the Mayo Clinic, menopause is the time that marks when a woman's menstrual cycle ends and is a natural biological process. It's diagnosed once you've gone at least 12 months without a cycle and usually happens in your 40s or 50s, but the average age is 51 in the United States. There are many symptoms that vary in each woman. Let's listen to a couple of women who agreed to share their stories.
It's been life-changing. It takes you on an emotional roller coaster ride that you have no control over. There's ways to try to control it or maintain it, but it's been an emotional roller coaster.
There's one thing that I've noticed after talking to several different women. Menopause does not affect all women the same way. Every woman experiences menopause differently.
Most women have the sweating off the back. So I had the sweating and I had the night sweats. I've had the uncontrolled crying, the insomnia, but I get something where I talk to other women and they don't always get this. I get severe itchiness. It's so bad that it takes a while, even after the sweating stops, for the itchiness to stop.
Menopause is pretty rough on me. I experienced hot flashes, mood swings, forgetfulness, insomnia, and instability in my decision making.
I've actually got some weird things for people. I had one lady tell me when the full moon comes, I need to take cinnamon and walk outside the front door and blow into the house. And I said, and that's going to do what for my menopause? She said that will help calm the spirits. I said, okay, thank you. And I just walked away because that made no sense to me.
Hot flashes were so bad. Till I didn't think I was going to make it. I mean, seriously. I would feel the heat coming up from inside of my body, just coming out to the outside. And I was getting ready to take HRT, some hormone replacement therapy, something I swore I would never take. Until I talked to these two senior ladies and I asked them, what can I do to stop hot flashes? And they both said at the same time, celery water. I said, okay. So I instantly started cutting up celery into my water bottle and drinking on it all day. When the water goes out, I refill it and drink it all day until the end of the night when I get ready to go to bed. And I'm telling you, within 2 weeks, my hot flashes stopped tremendously. And then they finally stopped.
In a nutshell, I would say definitely consult your physician. Look at the different herbs and talk with your physician about what might work for you. And also monitor the food that you're eating because that plays a big role.
So if you're experiencing really bad menopause symptoms, talk to your physician so they can tell you the best way to handle it. If you haven't started menopause yet, get ready. It's a life of its own.
Thanks, ladies, for sharing your stories. Those were a few different symptoms that we're going to discuss more. And now we're going to talk to a doctor who can help make some sense of what these ladies have gone through with menopause, also known as the change of life. I'd like to welcome Veola Davis, who is a health and wellness coach and an RN, and Dr. Valerie Walker, who is a family medicine physician and an author. Welcome, Dr. Walker and Veola. So happy that you're both here to share your experience, your personal experiences, your medical experiences working with patients about menopause, a subject that nobody really wants to talk about, right?
Absolutely. Years ago, it used to be taboo.
Right.
You know, when I came from in Georgia, a lot of times when the ladies were going through the menopause, my grandmother would always say, oh, they're going through the change of life. And now that we study menopause, it's actually a big change that they go through.
Yeah, and something that women sometimes share amongst their friends and talk about. Maybe a mom will talk to her daughters or not, you know, but still I think it's an awkward topic for women.
It is.
And I don't know why, because as we said, it is a natural process that we go through.
But you know, a lot of that, Sarah, has to do with the fact that everyone goes through the menopause different. And before I tell you about that, we just have to know that in the hypothalamus part of the brain, the pituitary, then spilling all the way down to the ovaries and the estrogen. The body, the human body is very complex. So estrogen is not just limited to, oh, it's low and I have a hot flash. Estrogen stimulates breasts, all types of processes in the body. So when a woman goes through the menopause and they feel so many different symptoms, and each person I have ever had to go through the menopause, they tell me something different. This is not in their head like the men used to say, or you go to the emergency room sometime and they say, oh, it's just stress, and go home. This is not just stress. If you talk to any female who's had a hot flash or any of those things, or can't sleep at night and wake up drenched in water and have to get up and change their pajamas, this is not just something that you sweep under the rug.
Right, so what you're saying is every woman has a different experience with menopause. Veola, you agreed to share a little bit of your personal experience.
Yes.
And one of the things that I want to ask you before we jump into your story, and also Dr. Walker, the symptoms, that period of time leading up to actual menopause is called perimenopause, correct?
Absolutely.
So that period of time can vary. It could be years and years, or it could be just a couple years. Viola, what was your experience?
Well, if we could just revisit one thing that you mentioned earlier when you said about having the conversation with your girlfriends, with your mom, with your grandma, that is not happening a lot because people don't understand it. I'm a nurse, and I have been in nursing for years, like 20-something years, and I knew nothing about menopause. I knew nothing about perimenopause from experience. My mom did not go through it with any symptoms, so it was not a conversation. My grandmother didn't go through it with any symptoms. It was not a conversation in our home.
So are people not talking about it because maybe they don't know that they're going through it?
Exactly.
Okay. Because it can be years.
In my circle, in my culture, the people I know, it's because they just know about the hot flashes. That's all we hear,
Right.
hot flashes. It's so much more.
And they don't know the other symptoms.
Yes.
Sometimes along with the hot flashes, there's depression, there's anxiety, there's you can't sleep, there's actually urinary incontinence. And all those things have to be ruled out. That's why we always tell patients, make sure you see your doctor and your OBGYN, because there's so many symptoms. But everybody always clone in on that one thing, hot flashes, but it's just so much more.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So Viola, back to you then. So tell us a little bit about your experience and how many years did you experience?
Right. So mine was perimenopause, which I know that now, right? And so 45, 46, 47 in there, I'm being honest with you, I had a male OBGYN doctor, and I didn't mention it to him what was going on with me because I didn't have any clue it was going towards menopause until I went to a female doctor because he left the practice. So in 1 year, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and thyroid issues, and then they had said something about asthma. Well, you know, now that I'm more versed in it, a cardiac health coach, that is definitely some of the symptoms of perimenopause and menopausal.
So your doctor diagnosed you with all these
This
different...
was a different doctor. Yeah.
Okay, but no one correlated all of these things
No.
to leading to
No.
menopause. So, Dr. Walker, what would you say to Viola? Had you been her doctor at that time?
Yeah, I've been her doctor for a long time. After the last doctor did that, then she came to me because I do a lot of wellness and prevention. So what, Sarah, people have to realize, there are 3 actually phases of menopause. There's perimenopause. That can happen from 7 to 14 years before you actually enter the menopause. And most of my patients, I start seeing about late 40s, 70s. That's when the things start. And the biggest thing that starts first is problem with the menstrual cycles. They can say they're heavy. They just disappeared. I have ladies come in and say, I woke up one morning, never saw another menstrual period. Praise God, hallelujah. And then we have people who flood out. They just have heavy menses, and then they stop. So again, what we alluded to earlier, everybody's different. So that's in that perimenopausal phase. And then we have the actual menopause itself, which, like you said, has to be diagnosed at least no menses for 1 year. So if a patient has no menses for 10 months and they come in and go, oh, Dr. Walker, I've been through the menopause. I said, no, you haven't, because it haven't been the 12 months. It has to be 12. I said, have to be exactly 12 months.
How often have you seen women who've gone like 10 months, 9 months, and then their cycles come back?
Oh, and they hate it. Oh, they think they're done.
So it does happen.
Yeah, oh, yeah, they think they're done, Sarah. They go, oh, no more menses. I don't have to fool with this anymore. And wham, I woke up one morning and there it was again. So it comes back. But I tell them by definition, we have to wait that 1 year. So that's the menopause itself with all the symptoms that go with it. And then nobody ever talks about postmenopausal. And that's when we start seeing heart disease, because before postmenopausal, men have a higher incidence of heart attacks than women. But for some reason, that's why I told you earlier, estrogen controls so much of the body. After menopause, and Veola can attest to this because she's a heart nurse also, you start seeing more women with heart disease. In other words, Sarah, we catch up in osteoporosis. So there's perimenopause, there's menopause, then there's postmenopause.
So that postmenopause, it's not just hooray time, I have my freedom back. It's now I've got to pay attention to other health issues that maybe I've never thought about.
Right.
Because I think the statistic says that it can actually appear 2 decades later.
Okay.
And so that's why, even with myself, with all of those things that happen, I decided I didn't want to be on medication or whatever, so I made some lifestyle behavior changes.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't do that, but if they knew at 48 that at 60, this can be an issue for you, if you don't change your lifestyle behaviors and get on top of the blood pressure, do the the dietary changes, the exercise, losing weight. And I'm sure that's what helped me, because I'm not on any medications or no heart risks.
And we're going to dive into all of that in a little bit, about all of the solutions. But let's talk about so a woman, say in her early 40s, who's starting to maybe have some mood disorders, or what does she do? Like at that point, is there anything a woman can do to help ease that transition?
Yes, she can. And one thing we need to realize, when a female is getting in the late 40s, it's not just the menopause, and that's going to all tie in together. You're dealing with things like you're about to probably be an empty nester. The kids are going off to school, job changes, all types of things are going on in your life. Divorce rates are high right in there because the husband's bold after so many flashes, and your bad mood and your bad attitude and all. So it's a lot. It's just not the flashes, it's all the things that go along with it. And being a wellness doctor myself, what I used to tell them is you got to be cognizant of the symptoms. They said, well, can you do a test, Dr. Walker, and just tell me I'm going through the menopause? There is no test that can just say, oh, well, last week at 5 o'clock, you started the menopause. There are hormone levels we can draw, the FSH and the LH, which is all over the place, actually. But they help us more with diagnosing what it can't be. Like if you're depressed and all, and these normals come back normal, then you're depressed, So there are those tests, but nothing that specific. So what I do right then and there is start them on their wellness course. And like you said, we'll talk about that a little later. But the biggest thing is don't smoke. If you smoke, you have got to quit. Smokers have the worst menopause in the world. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, that's important for lots of health reasons, right? So, okay, we'll just don't smoke ever. So we'll start there. So what about, when a woman, why for some women does it take, is it a long, like you were saying, 14 years, it could be this perimenopause. For some women, it could be maybe 4 years or 3 years. What accounts for that difference?
We don't know. It's a lot of things in healthcare we don't know. As physicians, we like to know everything, and we like to say that we know everything, but no, we don't. We don't know exactly why some women almost go through it, Sarah, this will make you sad, have no symptoms, they hardly ever had a flash, and then some people, it literally drives them crazy. And we don't really know. A lot of it, I think, though, has to do, when I investigate on my own patients, is lifestyle changes.
So, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I know I'm so excited to talk about that too, because that's important. Does having had children affect the length of time or the severity of your menopause, if you have had children or not had children? Does that play a role?
I have not seen that.
Not have, okay.
No, I have not.
I had children. I had like probably 8 or different symptoms. I had the mood swings, the weight gain. I had the night sweats. I had the, oh my goodness, hot flashes,
Yeah.
the chills. I mean, all of that.
And you have children?
Yeah, my mother had 10 children, and she had nothing.
Oh, well, okay, maybe we need to have a lot of
And then
kids.
some
Okay.
women that, we can say this though, there are some women who have never had children, may be at a decreased risk for certain types of cancer and all, but just saying the menopausal symptoms, like in a nun, I would suspect they have them also.
Yeah, okay, interesting. All right, we're gonna take a quick break and come back
Okay.
and talk about all the solutions and that we can be thinking about starting when we're very young. So when we return, we're gonna share some helpful information as to how women can go through this whole perimenopause and menopause time in their life a little bit easier. We'll be right back.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, today's topic is menopause. We're going to jump right back into this discussion to get some valuable information that many women can use as to how to get through this change of life a little easier. So back with Veola Davis and Dr. Valerie Walker. So thank you so much. And we've been talking before the break about all the symptoms, the amount of time and years that women can be going through this. We're going to talk now about how to make it easier. So preparing for this time where we're in the middle of it and symptoms are rough, what do we do? So Veola, as a nurse, and going through this and sharing your story, you've got certainly tips to add. And Dr. Walker, I know you've got your little cheat sheet. So tell us what you've got. Tell us some tips.
Well, the first thing, Sarah, people do in any type of situation is they don't breathe correctly. They start patting, and patting just creates all these problems in the body. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you take a nice deep breath through your nose, hold it long as you can, and exhale through the mouth. So we've got to slow down our breathing and stop patting. When a hot flash hit, the first thing we do, we grab a fan and then we start breathing very, very fast. And like I said, rapid. And that makes, guess what? That makes the flash worse. So it's never going away then once you start doing that. So practice correct breathing. They got all types of ways. Your doctor can share with you ways that they, based on your condition. Some people have asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So just based on what they got, learn how to breathe.
And a lot of people are doing meditation to learn how to breathe, because meditation is all about focusing on your breath. So is that something you would recommend?
Absolutely, that and also yoga, because between those stretches, I have to tell you this, those quick story. I wanted to do yoga one time. I said, oh, that's so easy. Anybody can just get in pose like this and breathe. I tried it. They had to lift me off the floor. It's tough, but it's good for you. Yeah. And it trains you how to breathe. So breathing is very important. Meditation, yoga. And then the first thing people need to do is take better care of themselves, meaning when you make your to-do list, guess who should be number one on the to-do list? You. You put yourself on there. You put on there, go to the grocery store, go to the drugstore, do this for the kids. Put yourself first on the to-do list and take some time out for yourself. We find that time out gives you time to rejuvenate, time to get your thoughts in order. Sometimes if it's nothing more than just taking a long little drive along a little lake or something, but always take time for yourself. And that's something that we just do not do.
Yeah, this is really good life advice. This really has nothing to do with menopause. It's just life. And if we can embrace these things, then we're going to get through every health issue.
Right. Absolutely,
more effectively.
absolutely.
So what else have you got there?
And then you want to take time out, I got for yourself. And then the other thing you want to do, which is very, very important, is sometimes just listen to your favorite music. We've done research and found out that music calms that old savage beast that lurks before the surface of all of us. Just put on your best song. My best guy is right now Joe Bonamassa. I love his music. So if ever I feel a little tense, I'll put him on and I just get to waltzing through the kitchen. That will divert a lot of the things that can cause like these flashes and all, because I still think a lot of flashes are stress driven. You know, because a lot of patients will tell me when I feel really stressed out, I really get to sweating. Them flashes really hit me hard. So you need to do that kind of stuff. I bought a plant here today just to show you. Plant a little garden, and it does not have to be outside. It can be right in your kitchen, a little herb garden. YouTube got all kind of little stations on how to grow you some peppermint, which is good for you, and we know all the herbs and all are good for you. So plant your little garden. That'll be awfully good for you. And the biggest thing you need to do is stay well hydrated, because just think now with all that sweat, you're losing fluids, because that's one of the ways the body gets rid of fluids, and we don't drink enough water. You should drink at least half of your body weight in water every day. So I had a patient, she weighed 300. So I told her you had to drink 150 ounces of water a day. She said, "Oh, Dr. Walker, I will never drink that much water every day. That's too much." I said, "We got alternative. Just lose some weight. And then we won't have to do that much, but just make sure you stay well hydrated and try to keep a lot of the stress out your life. And the biggest thing, Sarah, don't smoke, please.
Ever.
Smokers, ever. Like you said, a lot of this has to do with other diseases too, but for sure, what we're talking about, we found out that smokers have the worst menopause ever. So if you smoke, those hot flashes are going to tear you up. I've had patients say they sweat so bad, they have sweat just dripping off the floor,
interesting.
smoking.
So what if a woman is a smoker in her 30s? If she stops before she reaches her 40s, when she's going to start having perimenopause symptoms, is that going to...
That would help. I would say anything would help.
So better to
when
not
you
ever
quit
smoke, but at
smoking.
least quit
Quit
before.
beforehand. That would help a whole lot.
So, and I know one of the women in the videos talked about celery as being a source of hydration. So you've got your celery. So tell
we
us
have
about
our celery sticks here. Celery does a lot of things. Most people don't know we actually make perfumes out of celery. So celery is a diuretic, meaning it pulls fluid off the system. So it helps with high blood pressure, which is one of the main ways we treat high blood pressure, is with a diuretic. But the biggest thing I found out from a very dear friend of mine told me this years ago. She said, "You know the best way to stop a hot flash, Dr. Walker?" I said, "What?" She said, "Just chop up celery in a big cup and drink on it all day, and at the end of the day, eat the celery and start over however you want to do it." And it really makes those hot flashes better. So everybody, now the new thing now, Sarah, is natural, Dr. Walker. I don't want any medication. I just want to be all natural. I said, "When last time you bought some celery?" So try to keep celery in your icebox and try to drink celery water all day, and it will really naturally reduce those hot flashes.
What about fitness and exercise?
That's very important.
I mean, obviously, it's important for
again, have you noticed a pattern here we're doing?
Yes.
Most things is good for menopause, is good for everyday life, but they find out just walking 10 minutes every day, and the reason for that is we got endorphins in our body. These are natural painkillers, make you feel good. And that's why you look at people who exercise, oh, they got this little stupid grin on their face, they so happy, but they just leave the gym. Well, they should be, because they release all those endorphins from the brain that make them feel good and actually can reduce those flashes.
Yeah. So for someone who doesn't exercise, just a 10-minute walk every day is a great way to start.
Great way to start.
But for the woman who has exercised throughout their life, what would you recommend? An hour a day? Is that too much? Is that...
Well, they mostly say 30 minutes. 30 minutes to an hour. And there again, we always refer people back to their doctor, because we don't know their health condition and what's wrong with them. But we do know what we can say is exercise is very good for you. Make an appointment with your doctor and ask them, what exactly do you want me to do?
Yeah. Viola, what was your experience with exercise in your personal life?
Well, before all of that menopause, perimenopause, I wasn't doing a lot of exercise, and I started after or it's because with the blood pressure, the cholesterol level, and the diabetes, all of that was recommended exercise, right? And so starting that is what helped me to go through a little bit easier and not on the other end of it, not have those diagnoses hanging over my head.
So let's talk about those diagnoses and how they related to that menopause
Yeah,
time in
that's
your
what it
life. So is that all gone now?
Yes.
Okay.
My doctor would tell you I'm not on any medication for blood pressure. My A1C is fine. My cholesterol level, I mean, all of that. But then it is proven that during that perimenopause period and menopause, that your bad cholesterol will go up, your good cholesterol will go down, your triglycerides will go up, your blood pressure will go up. So if you're not going to the doctor and keeping track of those numbers, you won't know. So that would be my main thing to just tell people. Please do your yearly exams with your doctor. Have a primary care doctor, someone that can track you and know what's not normal for you.
Yeah.
And then for them, be your own best advocates.
Yes, you need that baseline even before you go into your 40s.
Exactly. It's going to be your dietary habits, and it's going to be your exercise. And then you already said the no smoking, moderate alcohol, those kind of things are going to be very important to watch so that you won't be on the other end, like Dr. Walker said, with the heart attacks, because heart disease is the #1 killer in the United States.
Yeah, for everyone.
Everyone.
So let's talk about alcohol consumption. What do you recommend, Dr. Walker, at
Well,
maximum?
you know, for women, believe it or not, you ready for this, Sarah?
I'm ready.
No more than 1 drink a day. And
Well-
for men, no more than 2 a day, because for some reason, alcohol is harder on a female body than it is on the male. So for all those patients out there, I had a patient tell me that she was drinking wine because her doctor told her wine was good for her. Jesus drank wine. I said, but he didn't tell you to drink a gallon. That was not what he said.
Right.
So in moderation. So no more than 1 for women and 2 for men. More than 1 drink for women a day actually has been associated with a cardiac arrhythmia called atrial fibrillation. So alcohol is pretty rough on women. So and guess what, Sarah? Women are drinking more.
Yeah.
They're attending these happy hours
Sure, right.
after work and all, and they catching up with the men pretty fast. So ladies out there listening to us,
And you
they
can go
need
to
back up.
You can go to happy hour and not have drinks at all, or
Right.
not more than 1. So that's
Right,
another
right.
show.
Yeah, it is.
I want to
it
make
is.
sure we talk about men, because you mentioned at the beginning of the show that this perimenopause time in a woman's life can wreak havoc on her relationships. So
Yes, it can.
how can men understand what is going on with the women in their lives, and how can they best help them through?
Well, one of the biggest things is education, always education, because they don't know. You know, they don't know why they got thrown out the room. Or I had one patient, the lady, his wife brought in a unit. They got central air, but she had a big, huge unit installed, and he moved out. He said, Dr. Walker, I could not stay in there. So he didn't understand what was really going on. So I think education is a lot, but then next thing, and we can talk about that on another show, they have menopausal symptoms too. You know, they're the ones that's standing at the foot of the bed with the socks down by the ankles and the boxers on, talking about Big Daddy coming at you. You know, so they have problems too. So it's a double conflict. They're going through their thing and they're trying to relive their youth, because actually that's a whole nother show. So to bring them two together and say, this is the things that you're freezing. You don't have to abandon our 50-year marriage for your 18-year-old girlfriend. You don't have to do any of that. So I think counseling would help a lot, and education.
Yeah, it is a time in one's life when, like you said earlier, a lot is going on with our careers, with kids getting older, going off to college, empty nest issues. So yes, it's a difficult time.
That's
but
a lot.
We can get to the other side of it together.
Yes,
So
yes, we
all right,
can.
thank you, ladies. This has been a really great discussion, and really appreciate all of your candor, all of your helpful tips. Dr. Walker and Veola Davis have been awesome, enlightening all of us more on the subject of menopause. So for more information on menopause, please contact the Menopause Society at menopause.org. menopauseal.org. And I'd also like to say thank you to each and every one of you who tune into the issues and share your comments each week. Remember, you too can join the discussion. Log on to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Be sure to tune into our next edition of the issues, where we'll have another informative topic that you definitely will not want to miss. I'm Sarah Bernard. Thanks for joining us.